I don't think most of yeah, so really.
Good morning. What? How are you?
Hi, Kristen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
So you think the final's going to come out today sometime?
I can't answer that.
Okay. Hey, Kim. No, the contract. She told me that there's going to be mail out. I'm sure the okay. What's going on? How you doing? You okay this morning? Doing okay.
We can set the correct expectation.
How are you? Appreciate it. Oh, you're most on time.
Hello.
How you doing?
All right.
How's your little one? Or your big one?
Good. Surgical call.
Yeah, sir.
Just have to make sure that the bone graft to take. They said like 8 to 12 weeks before we have to be back. Can't keep him down. All his friends got COVID. I'm like, okay, stay away from him. So they're not allowed to do anything.
No, okay, good.
What kind of home price does it take to make them?
That's why they're at
Yes.
Yes, we did, Jack. We said it. Never. No.
Josh, how you doing, bud? I don't think it'll carry over to February. COVID's gone, and people can't go over to it. We'll start treating like this.
All right, let's call the Blanco County Commissioners for the order this Tuesday, January 11th. Call the roll.
Judge Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Weir.
Here.
Commissioner Eager.
Here.
Commissioner Easton.
Here.
Commissioner Grayson.
Here. Please join us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the invocation. Happy Lord.
First of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Father, we're so grateful and we thank you for another year. We thank you, God, for having you carried us through last year. We know this year had many challenges. But we have the courage, we have the strength, determination to face each one. But God, help us, because we cannot accomplish this by ourselves. We need your help. So today we ask in Jesus' name for your protection, for your wisdom, for your guidance. Father, one final note for all those who are not well today, strengthen them and just touch their bodies. We pray and we give you the glory. I thank you for all these things in Jesus' name. All together say,
Amen.
God bless you.
Thank you. Pastor Gray, I just want to say to you, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to do this, but I was thinking while you were leading us in prayer, and I just want to say to you that there's so many things I think that none of us in here know all the things you do to the community and have done for the community over a very long period of time. I just kind of want to recognize you. Thank you.
You, sir, it's my honor to be here. And can I say one thing? I need y'all to do me a favor. Can y'all remove that camera, because I did not know my head was this bald. All right. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good day. God bless y'all. Man, I appreciate you guys. Y'all do good. Being good to see you.
So before taking comment, I have put an item in there about discussing it, and I wanted to ask the commissioners your opinion on it. It's sort of like asking for a declarative judgment, or a determination from the body that's responsible for it. So I'm looking at the rules of decorum and conduct. And I noticed that in item 4E, it talks about it's the intention of the Commissioner's Court to provide a public forum. It is not the intention of the Commissioner's Court to provide a forum for publicly demeaning individuals or groups. Either is it the intention to allow a member or members of the public to insult the honesty, integrity, or integrity of any member of the court, the body of the court, profane, insulting, or threatening language directed toward the court or any person in the court's presence won't be allowed, including racial, ethnic, gender slurs, things of those nature. So last night, I wanted to ask you about insulting any person before the court, and I'm just curious on your take on this. Do you consider language that someone, alleging someone broke the law by injecting party politics into an election? is a violation. Saying that someone lied, basically calling someone a liar, is a violation. Saying that someone is, quote, truth impaired, is that the same thing? So, my question is, if someone were to provide, quote, public comment where they take aim at an individual and call them a liar, call them truth impaired, and a law violator with no basis, is that a violation of the rules or not? I'm just curious on your take on this.
I think that'd be a violation. I would think they'd be a violation. I think you see it in state and other forms of government, they keep it to.
The previous meeting, a previous meeting, those comments were leveled at Ms. Carlette Lewis, and by a frequent commenter here, according to Ms. Deanne Welch. And so, my question is, if it's a violation, do you respond to it, or do you just don't care about people that violate the rules?
I would say in future meetings, we should stop it at the point that person is making those accusations and terminate their time.
It's good that Ms. Lewis wasn't here last time, everything you're saying.
Well, when you say that, I thought about that because it says in the presence of the court. We broadcast to 8.5 billion people on the planet. Anybody that wants to watch this can watch this. So it's kind of in the presence of everybody all the time.
It was offensive whether she was here or not. I agree.
I'm just saying, I think it qualifies. I don't think that disqualifies that she wasn't sitting in a pew necessarily.
I didn't think that way either. I think it's offensive whether she was here or not.
All right. Well, I think from Commissioner Lee's comment, that's the cue that we're going to let the previous incident go and move on a forward-looking basis. Which takes us to public comment, and there is one signed up, and that's Mr. Kenneth Welch.
Good morning. I was looking forward to those comments, and I would agree with Commissioner Leeson. If something in this court is stated that's not in line with the rules, I suggest you stop it at that time. That's what the rules say. The rules don't say anything about after the fact or in anticipation of what someone's going to say in the future. So if I say something should be stopped, you should stop it like you've done in the past. If my wife says something that you think violates the rules, you should stop it. In my case, weeks went by and I was accused of something with no specificity and stopped from speaking for 3 weeks, which is not in the rules, and as I understand it, it's not in the laws. So follow your rules, follow state statutes. If I'm in contempt of court, you should throw me in jail, but don't take my civil rights to speak away from me. Follow your own rules, and I try to follow your rules. Sometimes you don't agree with what I say. I believe that's my privilege. I don't want to cross your lines, but I certainly want to call out what I see that I don't think is appropriate. So I'll pass the word on to my wife about how you feel about her comments. She was rather emotional because I had been accused by Ms. Carlette Lewis of falsities. And so, it goes both ways. You apply it in every case, uniformly according to your rules. I thank you very much.
Item 4.5 on your agenda Review and consideration of the prior minutes.
Well, I'd like to dispense with, or make a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and to approve minutes for both of these. November 23rd, 2021, and December 14th, 2021. Minutes as presented.
Is there a second? Second. Commissioner Eager, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to item 6.
I make a motion to approve the estimated January 2022 payroll in the amount of $371,370.23.
Is there a second? Second. Mr. Bender, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, the official reports, which are all.
I make a motion to approve the official reports.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Weir, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. There are no line item transfers for you to consider today. Takes us to item 9, the additional bills that accumulated because we did not meet at the beginning of December.
I'll make a motion to ratify the bills in the amount of $19,413.12.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Eager, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Takes us to item 10.
Look, we're supposed to approve the regular bills. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the outstanding bills in the amount of $591,446.77.
I'll second.
So we ratify the original ones in December, and then we'll approve the
Approval of
outstanding.
Commissioner Weir, second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now, we'll move to item 10. This is a presentation by the Sons of the American Revolution. And Mr. Rudy, you here to introduce.
There we go. Good morning, Mayor, Judge, Commissioners. My name is Blair Rudy, Blanco County resident, Precinct 1. I am currently the State Color Guard Commander for the Texas Society Sons of the American Revolution. I'm here today representing the William Hightower chapter, and we have some of our chapter members with us. We're out of New Braunfels. We have Robert Duckworth, the second in command. We have Eric Maus and our secretary, Chris Kruger, with us to assist us with this process, with this recommendation and commendation. Thank you for letting us have a chance to do this morning. The Sons of the American Revolution have 5 different public service and heroism awards available for each chapter to award annually. They are Fire Safety Commendation, Law Enforcement Commendation, Life Saving Commendation, and Heroism Commendation. The 5th one is the reason we are here today, and that is to recognize Chief Ben Oakley for the Emergency Medical Service Commendation Medal, the certificate and medal. In summary, the requirements for recognition of this award, the Emergency Medical Service Commendation Medal is presented to an individual for accomplishments and/or outstanding contribution in an area of emergency medical services. The award is intended for paramedics and certified emergency medical technicians and others in the emergency field who may have performed an act of service beyond that normally expected. And with that, I'm going to read the letter that Judge Bray sent to us, a rather amazingly powerful and jubilant letter. Allow me to read it into the record for my place. Nomination for Emergency Medical Services Commendation Medal. Please accept and favorably consider this nomination for a commendation medal. I nominate Mr. Ben Oakley as the recipient of the above-referenced medal. Ben came to Blanco County as a field medic in 2006. He immediately impressed everyone with his skills and demeanor. He rose through the ranks to ultimately be the chief of emergency medical services for the entire county. Both of the emergency service districts 1 and 2 share his talents. The accomplishments are too many to list. The number of lives he has saved through hands-on emergency medical attention are myriad. But his accomplishments go far beyond the times that he has personally treated a patient. He has evolved into a manager of emergency medical assets for the county, both human and otherwise. His talent as a manager of both departments is equally notable. Through his efforts, Blanco County enjoys one of the finest staffed outfitted emergency medical response teams in the United States. You have in parentheses, that is not an exaggeration or hyperbole. Our little EMS units have been recognized many times among their peers around the country. Ben has literally been instrumental in recruitment and hiring of this capable staff and in acquisition of state-of-the-art equipment for Blanco County residents and visitors to be treated with. His accomplishments do not stop there. For years, Ben has been a vital member of the county's incident command system. I have personally watched and admired his skill as incident commander in various disasters that have occurred in Blanco County over the years. The first time I saw him in that role was during the Memorial Day flood in 2015. That event lasted so long that we had to change out incident commanders several times. Ben filled the role when there was still chaos and upheaval. He did so in his constant and typical professional way. We are a county with small resources. Nonetheless, Ben has willingly withstood our local concerns and joined the larger community that is our state by participating in and aiding rescue operations several times when hurricanes threatened and or harmed our neighbors along the Texas coast. Lastly, Ben has proven to be a vital member of the county emergency management team. His advice and counsel are valued, and he is regularly called upon for consultation. Exceptional is the standard recited for nomination. That word fits Ben Oakley perfectly. He is an exceptional individual, and his service and dedication to our community has been clear and manifest since he began here in 2006. It is right and fitting that we be given the opportunity to pin that green and white ribbon and medal on him. Signed, Michael County Judge Brett Bray, September 17, 21. So thank you for allowing me to read that. And with that, I would like to ask Chief Oakley to join us up here at the lectern, please. Let's send my back to you, gentlemen, if you don't mind. You didn't know about this, did you, Chief?
I did not.
Oh, wonderful. Always lots of fun. This is your certificate Robert has for you. And I'd like to read it again for you. National Society of the Sons of the American Revolution, Ben Oakley has been awarded the Emergency Medical Services Award in recognition of dedication to the preservation of life and health under emergency conditions and/or performing beyond the duties normally called for within the emergency medical services profession. William Hightower chapter, January 11, 2022, signed Thomas Jones, our chapter president, and attested by our secretary, Chris Krieger. So here's your certificate. I hope you find a place to put that. And I'm not seeing any other medals on your uniform, so maybe this is a little word for you. It is I'll show it around. It's an enamel bar, green and white. The ribbon is green and white, suspended over a bronze medallion with the EMS signal on it. We just kind of give you guys a quick note. I hope you when you see him, I hope you ask him where the medal is so we can at least wear it once in a while. Chief, here you go. Also, on behalf of the chapter, a token of our appreciation from the chapter from the Hightower. Thank you very much. Let's spin you around and get a quick. If you can stay afterwards for photos, then let's do that. Let's move on with the part. We'll get some photographs there. Again, congratulations, Chief.
Well, thank you, Judge and Commissioners and everybody. I did not know about this, so For the first time in my life, I think I'm speechless, which everyone knows how shocking that is, but this means a lot to me, and it truly is an honor to serve our community. So this is my 17th year that I'm starting AMS, and I love every day, every minute of it, and I'm very excited to be here. So thank you. I wish I had some better speech prepared, like Judge Brick did. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Mr. Rudy, and, gentlemen, for driving this way this morning, honor one of our most prominent citizens. Commissioner, do you care to say anything? Are you ready to do this?
Thank you, man. Keep it up. Good job.
All right, thank you. Go on to item 11. Consider authorization to accept and sign the FEMA hazard mitigation plan grant.
I'd like to make a motion authorizing for the county judge to accept and sign a resolution appointing the county judge as an authorized representative to act in all matters related to the Federal Emergency Management Agency Hazard Mitigation Plan, grant project, and committing matching funds if required to secure and complete the FEMA HMP grant.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Greenberg, discussion. Is there anything we need to say? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 12 is an authorization to sign a contract for an agreement for supplies and support for the quad.
I make a motion to authorize the county judge to sign the Plotter Pro Flex Pro partnership agreement for supplies and support of the Canon TM305 Z36 MFP plotter pending county attorney approval.
Is there a second?
That's okay.
Mr. Eager, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Takes us to item 13. This one authorizes the county election officer to enter into a contract with both the Democratic and Republican Party chairs. And I think I would like to fold in possibly a thought, I'm not sure which order to take it in, but the two addendum items, the second of the two addendum items is talking about signing a joint primary election services contract, authorizing the county judge to sign the joint primary election services contract. And Ms. Pease is here. Can you come up and maybe explain the difference between the two items before the court considers them?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So number 13 is the resolution that needs to be signed by the Commissioners Court, giving the authorization to sign the contracts with the parties.
And what's the item again? Is that if there is no contract? Okay, there is no item.
Here's my item.
All right. Is that normal? Because I asked because almost everything I see come across here is where they authorize the county judge to sign the contract on behalf of the county.
The contract we took from Secretary of State authorizes y'all to sign the resolution that gives the authorization to sign the contract.
All right. This is
The contract,
presumably how it's done around the state.
every other county that contracts with the parties is how it's done.
Okay. Let's hang on and participate, if we please. And on item 13, let's let's take it up and consider every possible action for authorizing Ms. Speeds to contract with the two-party chair.
I'll make a motion to authorize the signature of the resolution to authorize the county elections officer to enter into the Democratic and Republican Party chairs to conduct a joint primary and joint runoff election in 2022, pending county attorney approval.
Is there a second? Second. Commissioner Brammer, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. So, while I'm still on the addendum, so item 2 can be crossed off.
Yes.
And, item 1, basically consider the countywide polling program and authorizing you to go for it again. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, I know you each have the presentation.
And didn't, you already reported, didn't you, the last meeting about what that committee study group
Yes,
for the 304 closing looked at?
yes,
And the countywide polling was kind of a frequent topic even during that discussion.
yes.
So I'm looking at agenda item 1 and asking the commissioners for your consideration, possible action.
So I'll make a motion to adopt the statewide, state of Texas countywide polling place program, allow the Texas Assessor Collector to send notice of intent to participate in the program, schedule a public hearing concerning adoption of the program, and publish notice of public hearing.
Is there a second? I'll second. Commissioner Reed, discussion.
So the discussion I have is, after we did our redistricting and our lines have changed dramatically, this is very much so a great need for our county to have people eligible to vote at any location. So please do everything you can to make this happen this round.
And I'll be looking for all of your support to help make it happen.
Do we have a thought in mind about when the public hearing will be?
I'm shooting for February 8th.
So you wanted to do it, I know your office is just, doesn't have anything to do right now. So I'm just wondering if you want to get it done for the primary?
Just rather do it, get it over with, and then we can full speed ahead on the election. And then in between March and 2 May elections, we can work on the application and get ready for the next 2 elections.
So are we contemplating that we'll do the public hearing, we'll fold it in, just like we do with tax hearings and such, we'll fold it into a commissioner court meeting? That's February the 8th. February the 8th is the meeting.
I think that's what we did last time.
Anything else? Any comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving back to the regular agenda, item 14, specs and purchase of a laptop for the sheriff's office, which was part of the 21-22 budget.
I move we approve the inspection and purchase of a deputy laptop from Lincoln County Sheriff's Office as outlined in the capital equipment section of the FY 2021-22 budget.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Heath, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 15. This is the material that's in your package is the formal adoption, formal conclusion of what Commissioner Eastman was just referencing earlier, the boundary lines that were all adopted. But we need a final, a supplemental final order adopting, which is by the received prepared by Mr. Riley and our firmly engaged to do this work. And this is what has been presented for your consideration.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the supplemental and final order adopting revised political boundaries following the districting of Commissioners Court precincts.
Is there a second? Second. Mr. Greenberg, discussion. I did find it interesting, Ms. Gates has to deal with all of this new stuff, where we have divided sometimes people by a road in their subdivision. I mean, when I say we did it, yes, we did it, we sort of didn't have a choice with the census tracts the way they were. But it's causing her to have to do a lot of careful studying to make sure she gets the right person in the right precinct. And it was interesting to find out that ESDs, because she was concerned about what precinct those people get to vote in, actually follow school district lines. So school district lines, I thought that was, I did not know that until, I did not remember that until it came up again. Okay, with that, irrelevant.
Luke, you get in conversation with Mr. Riley as far as getting some electronic PDF files or whatever, where we can have some larger maps made that better define some of these adjoining boundary lines between these districts. Is that something that we'll see in the near future?
I don't know about the near future. We have ordered, according to the contract we signed, which was like 2 or 3 years ago, we get 2 large maps. I ordered an additional 10 a couple weeks ago. So we'll have 12 large maps. I hope to have one in every county facility available to you all. And then we're supposed to get an electronic file so that that colored blotter that you all approved the contract on, so that we can make our own down the line. The maps that are online are the actual maps that we get the stick or the data file for, and are the actual maps that we talked about rolling out at the 12 big ones. I think people either don't sometimes drill down enough, or they don't use their computers to blow them up enough, because they are manipulable. It's manipulable. To some extent. But I don't think people have quite figured out that they're there yet.
That's what I was gonna say, so in the redistricting process, that's what we've had to use, and to Ms. Strickland, who has bear the burden with this. If you go to the appraisal district's website, they have a biz map sitting out there, and we have sent everything that Mr. Riley gave us, we have sent it to the appraisal district, they have sent it to the map. And the voting locations are overlaid on the map now. So that's what Tommy and I are using every day to pull in a road, and I'm gonna throw this out there, Sanctuary Lane, because it is a split precinct. So we're having to go to that map, pull it apart, pull it up, and find certain locations, if they have an address, that we can pull into one precinct and put the others in another precinct. So use that biz map, that's what we have been using, and it's very helpful.
So these candidates that are running for office, that's something they can use
Absolutely.
as far as soliciting votes. I've had several of you ask me, how can we determine that? That's the tool we use at this point.
Yeah, and it's on the internet.
It's on their local website, so.
And in fact, that was the goal this time around. That's the one positive for me of kind of doing census and redistricting and all that is, for so long people would come into the north doors, and there's an old map there. I think it's a 1999 map maybe. And it seems to be one everybody sort of gravitates to. And, and then they question, well, why can't we have a better map? Well, I think they've got on the internet right now, everything we have.
And that's all knowledge we have. We have an address, and thankful to the appraisal district for helping us get that going. But, we still have a few things from maybe the cities that need to be uploaded to that map to make it 100% accurate. It's not 100% accurate, it's not 100% all there yet, but we're hoping over time that with our help and the state software, we can get to Canvas and then get to the amount of people.
And building on that, if anybody's having, is really doing that extensive research and is having that big problem, they should go to the cities, right?
Yeah.
If there's problems in a city.
I would contact your taxing entity as to, you know, if you've got a problem with it. Make sure it's correct. I mean, we're human and mistakes happen and we're finding something like that and we're helping the appraisal district work all that out. But we're human and nobody's 100% perfect, so.
But as a county, we expect the cities to know their boundaries better than us, you know?
Yeah, and you know, maybe it's just, changeover of personnel in all cities and all the information's not being sent all together at one time, so.
Only happens every 10 years, right?
Well, no, I'm not do this again in the next near future.
So your listing of registered voters, is that list prepared?
No. No.
When do you think you have that together?
I mean, I'm sure I have no idea. I mean, we're still pinpointing certain addresses that fall in the city, fall outside the city, fall in the school district, fall in your precinct, fall in your precinct. I mean, it doesn't just magically happen, unfortunately.
But the one thing we know is that, on the first day of early voting, when somebody walks in and one of your poll workers, or the party's poll workers, has the vote, it's gonna be able to tell on that day what precinct they're in, who they're voting for.
Yes.
So you may not know exactly the time frame, but we know what our deadline is, which is in about a month.
31 days.
I'm pretty sure that deadline was in December, but I mean, we're very thankful we're a very small county. Last week I heard of some of the larger counties that don't even have their information for the commissioner's court yet. So maybe feel a little better. But I mean, we're just working every day to get it done. As soon as we get it done, we hit some buttons and been on the Secretary of State to get us the information back. So.
Did I hear you just say that there are some counties that have not gone through the boundary line?
I'm pretty sure that's what I heard last week.
Wow.
So I feel very fortunate that, you know, way far past that.
Anything else?
No, thank you, Chris.
I think, do we have a motion on the floor by on item 15? I'm not sure what we get. So, so the motion is to approve the supplemental five orders adopting the revised budget boundaries by Commissioner Weir, seconded by Commissioner Member. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 16. Mr. Shelby, someone carries. You want to go ahead and come forward? Mr. Shelby says, Ramrod spearheaded, cobbled together a group of people to study the couple, and we're at a point where, to move forward, we need to, I guess, commit to paying additional study in the bid packet. The amount that he's asking for in the package is a little bit more than what we have budgeted, but I think it's not so much more that I don't think we can find the money by the time we have to pay the bills. And I don't think, and for everybody that's listening, the numbers, we have about 60,000 budget for an area, about a $76,000 potential bill to get to the point of being able to bid on a couple of bids. And we don't know how much that's going to be. That's what the study's for. What we don't know is 100,000 or a million and 100,000, what it is. And it may be beyond our reach anytime soon, but we need to pay to find out what it as we, so,
Yeah, exactly. So the proposal that's in front of y'all right now is again, it's an all-inclusive fee of putting together the structural team and a kind of forensics materials team to determine the best remedy and fix for the current roofing issues, and to develop a set of bid documents and cost estimates so that we can know exactly what it's going to cost to do this project, and to see the whole project through to its completion and resolve. So what started out as we were contacted to look at roofing issues or roof leaks, kind of surprised us once we got started, and noticed that from some investigation that Connie was able to dig up for us, that somewhere back in around 1997, there were some major structural repairs done to the courthouse, especially in the center section where the cupola is sitting on top of. And we're still scratching our heads as to how all of that work was actually done in there, because there's some major structural steel that was installed on the existing wood truss system that's up there. And there were a lot of additional elements added. We have tried to run down the drawings that were done back 20 some odd years ago. You know, the Texas Historic Commission has a set, and they're unwilling to release those to us. We know that there's a structural engineering firm that has obviously reviewed them, and we haven't contacted them yet to see, because I think when you go up there and look at it, it looks disturbing to see what's happened over 20 years. But I have from our structural engineering team that there are no life safety issues currently, that what has happened over 20 plus years of time. But the steel system that they put in, especially on the exterior walls, has done its job. The problem they didn't account for when they tried to modify the roof trussing systems was how to counteract the force that was pushing the exterior walls out. And so they kind of just missed part of the step that has caused the roof trusses to kind of become a little weighty, if you want to say that, which is all kind of documented in the report. And there is a resolve to the issue. The structural engineers that were here, that's been 6 to 8 weeks ago, did some great crawling around the attic, and feel like there is a resolution to straighten things back up, but it's straightening them up in a process that doesn't damage what has already happened. So the roof leaks that have occurred, some are over just age, especially around the railing system. That railing system is actually metal. And there's a lot of places where it has rusted away and has rusted through the roofing system, and that's where the majority of the roof leaks are coming from. But because of what the roof structure has actually done, the cupola roofing area is actually sagging. It's just kind of settled some. But it's at a state of equilibrium right now. So it's moved as far as it's going to move. And so being able to get back up into that attic and put in a steel system to try to straighten things up and raise things up is what's going to take the time to kind of forensic investigate how best to do that without causing damage to anything, especially above us. There are some roofing issues. There's a lot of flashing problems. Like, again, those are leaking because of the situation. The cupola, there's some cracking in the plaster systems up there, and it's all fixable. It's all repairable. And it's just trying to figure out how to get in and do that from what we're just guessing from a newspaper clipping from, I think, what we kind of know was like dated July 2nd, 1997, showed I think this window missing with a forklift out in the lawn, pushing in a massive steel beam through that window. And we were looking, where did it go from inside here? So, you know, we're still scratching our heads as to how best to do this, because there's probably gonna have to be some damage done to the building to be able to get things in here in stage and move back up into the attic, like they did the first time 20 some odd years ago. We're just not for sure how they did that, but that's a part of the plan. We've kind of figured out all the pricing involved to do all of this study, to do the design, to determine what our costs are going to be, and bring that back to y'all to figure out how best to move forward with what we feel the budget's gonna be to do the repairs.
So I had thought that the pictures, we're gonna be on the screens, so that really everybody can see what you're talking about, but, and you kind of gone through, I think, with the commissioners and the pictures that they have in their packages. Can you elaborate more on the being working or twisting?
So what we think happened 20 some odd years ago is that the two, we'll say the north and south walls, started pushing out. They started leaning away from the building. And we're assuming that because of this massive wide flange steel beam that is running on the north and south sides. There's some pictures in the original packet. So those beams were actually bolted to concrete columns that are in the corners. And the steel that was placed on all of the truss systems inside. So what they did, it looks like they took 1/4-inch plates and sandwiched between the wood truss systems. And so in this particular picture, you can see the red is a part of one side of the steel plate. You can see what looks silver. Those are the bolts that are bolted through the steel plate. And there's another steel plate on the opposite side of the truss. Because we're guessing that when the wall started to push out, the trusses deformed. And so a part of the engineer 20 some odd years ago, the resolution was to kind of sandwich these steel plates between the truss systems to stiffen them up and to straighten them back up. And then they added a series of some very large steel rods, tie rods, in a very intricate pattern up in the attic, going from, there's a picture of that steel beam going up through the window. They used the tie rods going from that wide flange beam on both the north and south sides and basically pulled everything together. And I think their intent in that process, because there's some other vertical and diagonal tie rods going up to these new plates that were put on the truss system, was they pulled in the exterior walls and it also realigned the wood trusses at that time. The problem that our structural engineering team said is they miscalculated the problem that originally happened. So if you look at the original drawing, it's a very intricate design of a truss system up there holding up the cupola. There's a lot of downward weight. There's a lot of pressure being put on these wood trusses up there in that cupola and the roof that's around it. So when they actually straightened everything back up, they miscalculated, I'm just going to call it horizontal bridging. So they were able to take care of the thrust pushing out on the walls, but it never got rid of the problem of the weight going through the whole truss system. And so when walls get fixed and you still have that weight, that load has to go somewhere. And if you don't equally distribute it throughout all the truss systems, we end up with what we have in those pictures, which are kind of a serpentine truss system. The steel is still intact. The bolts are all intact. In your report, there are some images right up against the wide flange beams on the outside, and you can see the actual connectivity of those plate truss systems to that wide flange beam. You can actually see a kind of a coupling bolt system on the back of that, and you can actually see where the bolt is actually kind of angled, twisted, and it's actually taking it's the transferring of that twisting load through that truss is actually on that nut, but it's still intact. So it's still working. So the idea is somehow to bring in some more steel to basically put in bridging between all of these trusses and to straighten them back up and basically uniformly take all of that load and put it where it needed to go, which is out of those wide flange beams. And that's what happened the first time. It just, all the load did not get transferred to those steel beams that were added on the outside of the building. So it's, we're just absolutely amazed that they were able to even get up there and do that with what we saw. So obviously, there was accessibility to get up there and do it. Our engineers say that there's not an issue with getting back up there and figuring out a remedy to make this work and straighten everything back up. But he said, you know, they already have a plan on what it's going to take to straighten the trusses back up and hopefully lift everything back up into place and take care of some of our sag and go back and fix all of the roofing problems that we currently have. But some of our, you saw pictures of the railing system, but a lot of that has already rusted away, and there's a lot of water that's just coming down vertically through that rail down those four corners. Also, that roof that's up there is lead, and so the seams are soldered, and they are deteriorating. So there's a lot of the leaking is coming from that roof system, the railing system. And I think it just, you know, migrated, you know, as the structure over 20 years just slowly settled, it just exasperated the leak.
I was here in 1997, I remember there was one guy that basically did that. He'd go across the street to the beer joint and recruit a couple guys to help him. And it was amazing, yeah, that he got those beams up there. And the woman could stand over here, you could see the big hole in the wall. Those turbines sucked this all down.
Yeah.
Now, the first engineer that came on site, he said, "You need to vacate this building, it's fixed to collapse." He was afraid the whole thing was going to crash. So the quick fix on that was to come up here with some big old screw jacks and jack the weight up.
Mm-hmm.
And when they got the beams in, then sucked the walls back and then took the jacks back out. And the wall was straight. And most of the trusses, they took all that snaking bends out of those trusses.
Well, you kind of see that, you know, the staking has gone back. And what was interesting is the south side, the bending, let's say, the steel is directional. It's going towards the east. If you go to the north side, it's going towards the west, which means it just slowly torqued, you know, just slowly moved. And it's happened over such a long period of time.
Well, another issue was there was 2 layers of shingles. It was originally a standing seam. It started leaking, some shingles got nailed over, started leaking again. This laid another layer of shingles, but all that was additional weight. That's all been removed, and the roof had been replaced. So that's part of the problem too, the cupola pushing back.
Yeah, when the original drawings that y'all have, structural engineer reviewed those, and he runs the Dallas office of this engineering firm that's got offices in 8 states. They said that, you know, it's a gorgeous design, but he said it was just inherently flawed from the very beginning, just because it was never meant to have an arched ceiling. So it's a kind of a scissor truss looking design, so there's angles to the truss, where a normal truss is horizontal on the bottom. Goes up at an angle, and then it's carrying all the weight of that cupola. So he said, yeah, it was just one that was just it was going to slowly fail over time. And yeah, that was a shock to go up and see all of that, because I was going to go look for Netflix. And when we saw that, we're like, okay, that it's interesting, but there was a lot of work done 20-something years ago. I mean, it's amazing, but it can all be rectified.
Can I ask you, you mentioned earlier that you didn't have any luck getting the plans, I guess, of the red iron work or whatever. Does this cost, this proposal you have, does it take into consideration that you might not get those plans?
The Texas Historic Commission has a copy, and they said that we could come and look at them. So that was my intent. I was gonna go look at them. They would not release them, nor would they copy them for us.
So you have access to them?
Yes,
you don't
we have
to
access.
Start over.
They were willing to let us go look at them.
Why don't they outline?
Our contact with the THC for this area, she said that in their understanding, they are signed and sealed documents that is considered a copyright to them. And they would not copy them for us, even though I told her that, and I asked without divulging a lot of information, I told her it was imperative that, you know, we needed to understand what the first engineers were up against and how they came to resolve the first issue.
You know, what I'm asking is who paid for that, who paid for all of that, and who paid for the plans to do all of it?
I'm sure I would say that county.
I would assume, yes.
That takes me back to my question, why aren't they our plans?
They are ours. I just don't know who can speak with those individuals to say that you as the county on it, paid for them, hired all that work. So somebody was hired to design it and did it.
Well, we can talk about that.
Yes, it was frustrating to know that there were people that eyes had seen what was done 20-some odd years ago that just did not want to help us understand that. But the structural firm we're working with has done a lot of remedies, and so I'm very confident that even if you don't see those, that it will be a successful fix.
Would that be over about this proposal?
No, sir. It's all in that proposal.
So speaking of the proposal, just you can walk with me through the timeline for a minute. In my mind, I'm imagining that this is gonna take enough time. That whatever the product, whatever the recommendation of the product is at the end, will be far enough in the future from today that the commissioners will probably be able to be thinking budget for future.
Yes, sir. What we talked about, again, kind of collectively as a group, is their survey is going to take a couple of days on site, and that they would probably need anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks, kind of develop what is the strategy to fix the issues. And within that period of time, we can start working on a cost. So I was hoping that within at least a 6 to 8 week time of starting, we're going to have a good idea of rough order of magnitude cost.
Let me try again. If the commissioners didn't want to start this project when they know how much it is, however much it is, until next fall.
Yes, sir.
You earlier said it's not like threatening,
Right.
so we do that.
Absolutely. In fact, we did, we needed to, we could actually start it, or kind of phase the project out and complete a phase. Allow y'all to kind of absorb it, understand the cost ramifications and plan, and basically shelve it for a while until you're ready to do it.
Well, the big issue is getting the water lines fixed, and it's gonna take a while to repair.
Yes. Right, we really don't want to say it's gonna work or try to repair the water leak issues until the structure systems are fixed.
Anything else? Do you want to say?
No, sir. Okay, that's it. Appreciate y'all, allowing us to look at it and so we can get things ready.
Appreciate you.
Thank y'all.
Does anyone have any kind of motion?
So I make a motion to move forward with the study and the preparation of a bid package for the courthouse roof rebuild project.
Sorry. And there's a motion and a second discussion. Does this contemplate some contracts or a contract or what? Because typically, awarding such, I'm just concerned that typically the commissioner's court would authorize that we enter into an agreement with you like we have for other cases with court on the county.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this would be for a contract to start the ball rolling.
And the contract is that amount that you have in here as part of the package.
Yes, sir.
All right, it's basically is the contract.
Yes, it is. That's the full from start to everything fixed, bid, constructed, and we walk away in a successful project.
And so you'll need a signature.
Yes, sir.
And so my question is,
So,
is your motion?
yes, that is my motion.
And Mr. Greenberg, is that your second?
Yes.
Is there further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Just one back one thing. So back in those days, we were talking about the Scrooge Act. Am I right, back in those days, you and the Commissioner's Court met in what now is Judge Barbeck's area?
Yes, that's it.
So what was up here was more of a court.
Yeah, it was just district court.
Item 17, materials for precinct 3, bids, and I believe we may have 5 of them.
So, yeah, I can give a brief explanation. So these are gonna be a little bit all over the place, because the type of materials that we're requesting come from different vendors. So, as we look at these bids, I wanna be able to, we'll note that, maybe the grade 3 can come from one vendor, where grade 4 would have to come from a different vendor. So, but this is a project that we're proposing in precinct 3, trying to pay the remaining amount of dirt road.
And we're talking about that particular project, not county line.
Correct, this is specific to my project.
Is this the one up toward the Leno County line?
This is it's towards Land County line, but it's on the road that goes to the Gillespie County line.
State is
All state districts. You said there was how many? Five. Five? 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, one came in after you.
Okay, so, we can talk about different ways to look at things. For instance, I have 2 bids that are for emulsion. I have a bid from Wright Asphalt Products at $2.38 a gallon, with a freight of $1,500. And a CSS 1H, $2.18 a gallon, with a tanker load freight is $1,500 per tanker load. That's from Wright Asphalt.
That's 6,000 gallons.
Yes, yes. So I have a bid from Argonne, and their cost is $2.50 a gallon, with a freight of $10.45 a tanker load. And then they have $2.20 for CSS 1H, with $10.45 a tanker load. So if you calculate that out,
Cost average,
that would kind of give us an idea of, they're probably pretty close. This one here is from Collier Materials. For a 3/4 flex space, they're $27.56 a ton. At 1.5 flex space, they're $27.56 a ton. At grade 4, they're at $47.80 a ton, and grade 3 is $47.80 a ton. So if you look at capital aggregates, they don't have the flex space, but they do have the paving rock. At grade 4 is at $24 a ton, and grade 3 is $26 a ton. So capital aggregates is less expensive than Collier Materials. So I would say,
Is there a transport?
that is included. There's a transport that's $9.41 a ton. So $24 plus $9.41 is would be $30.41 a ton, where this is $47.80 a ton.
So if I'm not mistaken, just to help me out with this, am I right with capital aggregates when they're on the grade 3?
No, that's small sauce.
As is Collier, right?
Yes.
Just
And then you have, this is Johnson City Crushed Stone, and their 3/4 flex base is $6.50 a ton. 1.5 is $7 a ton. Grade 4 is $20 a ton. Grade 3 is $20 a ton. And it's all $10.25 a ton for delivery. So, with that being said, did you calculate the difference?
I'm not, I was just guessing off the top of my head, $1,500 is like quarter a gallon on trying to find my calculator. But, yeah, quarter to 2.18. Fine.
So out of the 3 bids that are, that have the paving rock and the flex base, the Johnson City Crushed Stone is the cheapest out of the 3. For all 3.
It's a quarter a gallon on the, for the freight on the CSS 1H, whatever. And what that, $237.5. They're right together.
Putting back together.
I don't know whether
6 of one, half dozen together.
very much.
So what do you do?
When you look at logistics, I don't know where's it coming from.
So if you calculated that out there, you're saying that CSS 1H is $237.5 a gallon with delivery, where this one is $2.43 per gallon with delivery. So that this is a cheaper bid, which is Argonne, which is the company that we use. So I'm happy picking picking this argon for my oil, and then picking Johnson City crushed stone for my materials.
That's your motion.
That is my motion.
I'll say.
And I would like to thank all the people that took the time to fill this work, information out and send it back to us.
Argon, a little will. Johnson City.
Crushed stone for the flex base and paving rock.
Any further discussion? I will say that, adding on to your tagging to the things that is, it was good to see. Decent like this.
Well, it does take, obviously you cannot just put it in the local newspaper. You have to call these people and try to enforce them to get you a bid, otherwise we'll be sitting there with nothing.
So basically, you were saying that the reason that it'll be the first time that I've seen it other times, because you would have big pushes.
Big pushes, try to get people interested to sell some dirt.
Good for you. Anything else?
There was a motion.
Yes.
Is that a second?
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, all fair say aye. All opposed. Motion carries. And then we'd like to apply for a solid waste grant from Capcom. If you approved.
The first step is we have to pass the resolution, granting Glasgow authorizing the filing grant application. Capcom has funding which we've utilized in the past for HHW events. The last one we did was September 2020. Try to do one of these events about every 2 to 3 years. The money is available. We plan to ask for about $40,000. Our last event cost us about $39,000. Capcom covered most of the expense of that. So basically today, all we gotta do is approve the resolution, get the ball rolling. We've got basically the grant is all written, we just need to finalize it, attach the resolution. It's gotta be done by the 21st of January, which it will be done. We'll know by end of April if we gonna receive the funds, and if we receive the funds, plan on doing an event probably in September. So I move we consider approval of resolution to apply for the Capcom solid waste grant for FY 22-23.
Is there a second? Mr. Leishman, discussion. All right, so I think I asked you, and for the benefit of the rest of the board, I asked you about another grant opportunity down the road, a much bigger grant for the idea of moving the recycle center to county's property where the transfer station is. The reason being, after upon your retirement from the court, I have concerns, I think others have concerns about whether that recycle center in Vico is going to continue to be viable without you putting your time.
That's why we've got our potential replacements here. Somebody's gonna have to step up and take that over.
Maybe or maybe not. The question is, if we make a big change, does Capcom ever?
Yes, they do what they call, what they're trying to promote is like a regional, but see, we can make it work. City of Blanco, Johnson City, Round we can turn it into a regional. But then that, if the other entities involved, they need to chip in some too. We haven't had much left.
You're a Blanco guy.
Getting out, anything out.
Right. So how bad is it going to be if they have to drive to a recycle center like the citizens of Johnson City have to drive to a recycle center?
We will have some very disgruntled constituents. I think so, because Johnson City closed. Now, there are some real dedicated Johnson City people who are coming to like it because person. So the city is covered, it's the out of city residents. And a lot of our commercial residents in the city, like, they utilize it very, very much. They would not, I don't know if they would be willing to drive that car. They just call it and get another dumpster. Just chunk it all in the dumpster. It's just too high.
Can I ask you, Commissioner Granberg, the trends on recycling centers all over the nation, the trend is changing. Aren't there states and large cities and stuff that just can't afford to do it?
Right.
So with that said, we can even look at, can we afford to have one that is, within regionally, is in a good spot or fair spot compared to not having one at all?
The programs have got to be subsidized. They'll never, ever generate funding to be self-supporting. It's just something that, a service that is provided. And the taxpayers have got to be willing to step up and either provide the service or do what currently. They just said it's just costing us too much. They just shut the door on their operation. Fredericksburg has got a real nice system, but they probably cost $300,000 or $400,000 a year for their operation. Our operation is basically pretty shoestring. It's operating on $50,000 a year. It's just going to have to be decided when the time comes, next budget cycle, decide how much we want to put into it, who wants to take advantage.
But what you used to get paid for paper and plastic and this and that, now plastic's not even a big question.
Well, plastic.
So as it's changing, with trains changing and times changing, participants changing, then it might be a point there where it's a total cost, where you don't have, or maybe not even have a location to take it. So with that, I mean, it's gone down to where you had to throw, it's amazing balancing act that you pull off. But to be able to every year make that work when the costs are going up higher and higher out of your small budget when you do that. And would you think it might work better to maybe have it as a part of another entity or part of another department that will do that and others, so that there would be not cross management, but as far as manpower, be able to take care of maybe two things instead of one?
There's a lot of
maintenance in that or something.
Right. There's a lot of possibility. We just got to study the way it's set up now. It's available 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And one option will be to limit the access, cut it back to just 5 days a week.
Would you hear any disgruntled people if you limit it to 3 days a week?
Not sure. Yes.
I bet you would.
We've got it spoiled.
They're probably because it's not 8 days a week.
Well, yeah, I hear you. It's amazing. I drive out there on Sunday night. He's out there compacting and,
And to your comment about somebody's gonna step up, I'm not convinced for sure that anybody's going to, and I think Commissioner Lisa and Commissioner Weir both, I saw some of this, both have been thinking about this maintenance department idea, and maybe this is something that.
Right, it could also reconfigure into another whole department. I can see that being a possibility.
but let me ask you that, is there any grant money in that?
Yes.
I mean, if it was a multifunctional department.
As long as it's solid waste, I mean, maintenance would be kind of hard. I mean, we've been able to buy equipment that was half road bridge, half recycled. And so, yes, you could probably get some grant funding to build a building that would be part of the recycling program and part of the maintenance program.
And possibly emergency management.
And emergency, yes.
So I want to take this opportunity on this subject line to start looking down in the future, but taking us back to this particular grant application and your motion on the board, to apply for it. For Commissioner Leesman's second, is there, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. On burn ban, despite accusations in the past, I haven't had a chance to talk to the commissioners about this, so this is my opportunity, and I would just say to you that probably starting the day before Christmas and moving forward, I have been in communication with the 3 fire chiefs, because I frankly was quite nervous, especially as we got close to New Year's Eve, when we kept getting dry, and worried about bottlenecks, and then it seems like, and I was hearing an awful lot of fire calls on the radio, most of them brush burning actually. And I considered the idea whether or not I was going to have to do a disaster declaration, we had to all take it up later or not. But interestingly, none of the 3 fire chiefs was very interested. In fact, I even had some feedback that what's the point, nobody follows it anyway, and they don't write any tickets for it, which is, I think, not true. I think I heard on the radio this week, somebody having charges filed on them for burning all kinds of weird stuff, tires and everything. But the point being, there seems to be a reluctance on the part of the fire departments to see much value in burn bans. I say that if you ever decide to do a burn ban, I'm not suggesting you do it today, it's pretty cloudy, but if you ever decide to do a burn ban, I don't think the value is who gets a ticket, who doesn't, because somebody's not going to pay attention to the burn ban where they are, and if they are, that's good that you have them out there. They're not anyone. With that, anybody have any thoughts on burn ban?
Yes, I do. I've got calls from two ranchers, 2 constituents in my precinct. Both of them, just not pleading with them, but asking us to consider it. They're out there in the southwest part of the county, Kendall County area, right up against the county. And they're getting calls out of Kendall County coming out. They've had several fires in that direction, but they're telling me correctly. But what they're worried about is they've got waist-high grass out there in the back of these pastures and everything that have been out there. They've had plenty of rain early on with all the warm weather. We've got, again, waist-high grass with the winds that we've had here recently and a chance of more of that. We got a little cloudy here and almost got 100 of an inch. That really doesn't fix that problem. This map that we look at here shows that we're within the 200 to 300 range. But I'm almost willing to bet you can split the county in half and get a different reading on the south end. So I'm a little concerned. These guys that I talked to, one of them builds fence for a living, burns cedar, all of that, and he's worried that usually he's the one complaining about the fact that we have burned down. And so I take these guys serious. They're out there driving around in the hills, and they have leases all over the county actually, and they're seeing it. So I'm all for putting a burn ban on, and I'll make a motion to put the burn ban on. And do you have to designate a day to a date or?
You can, if you don't designate a day, I think it extends 90 days or until the court rescinds.
When's the next
I'm sorry, I don't understand. You're saying what's next to the court, and he said 90 days. What do you?
No, he was asking when was the next commissioner's court.
The next commissioner's court is Tuesday after next.
But I would like to put the burn ban on for at least a month or so. As a minimum of 90 days. Maximum.
It's a maximum of 90 days unless you're.
Okay, but it can be rescinded during the time, it sure can. So I'm asking for 2 meetings from now.
2 weeks, you think?
No, a month from now.
A month from now? Next meeting is February 8th. Not quite.
So in my motion, I would like to put the burn ban on until February 8th. And I'll say, maybe that'll make a break. Maybe it will. I can't be
water.
And you're asking for the entire county?
Yes, sir.
I only ask because, the law allows the court to split it up anyway they want, really, certainly on precinct lines.
Right.
And, or highway lines or whatever. And you mentioned that the southwest is extra dry with a lot of fuel.
Yes, sir, it is, but I do remember the county sheriff telling me that when we start splitting it out, it's hard for them to enforce. But still, I believe we have a problem. I believe it's about the amount of grass that's out there right now. That's a fact that the dirt weight is there. Whether or not we want to wait and see if something happens or whatever. Maybe it won't, maybe we'll get an inch rain. Oh. But I hold my motion.
Sometimes there's a template motion that authorizes, you can authorize the county judge, I think you can authorize someone else to rescind the burn ban if there's a, if they determine a significant moisture event took place.
Without declaring an emergency or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's part of the order.
Well, can I add that to my motion?
If you wanted to, I'm just letting you know.
Well, I'm just making it easy enough to do. I mean, I'm just right now, I'm worried about what's out there right now.
All right, motion in a second, further discussion.
Just saying that we're in the, according to the drought index, we are in the 300 to 400 range.
That is correct.
And I know there's lots of fuel out there because we had moisture last year, so that's what to be expected.
But the definition of 300 to 400 range is, fuels are beginning to dry and contribute to wildfire. However, glasses. Wildfire intensity, heavier fuels will still not readily ignite and burn. This is often seen in late spring or early summer.
Well, when you see humidity drop with some of these northerns that are coming, the humidity drops down to 20% or so. With that much grass, then all of a sudden you do have a problem. With a 20-mile-an-hour wind, in the hills, you all know, it, some of the wind bursts are 50 miles an hour and better. And we saw some of that a week or two ago. So that's my concern. That's a couple of my constituents.
Some counties are managed to big fires like brush piles, not barbecue pits.
Well, and I didn't know that.
But outdoor cooking is not fine green burning.
Right.
It's exempt from burning.
And as far as a fence builder or whatever, some of them are exempt in some of their work, I tell you right now. As long as there's certain precautions in there. Like having a spotter, having water and all that, they can continue to do the job. So I don't feel like I'm hurting anybody's living. So anyway.
Anything else? All right, we split up on this, we had to ask for a voice vote or separate vote, but all in favor say aye. Aye. And all opposed? Aye. It's 3 to 1, I'm just gonna stay, I'm not sure. And if, Mr. Oakley, you'll hang around, so you can photos. We're at 5:20.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Any discussion on favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?